Hi everyone. I'm just here to talk a little bit about what are we going to discuss on Wednesday at our next Brunch and Learn. So the topic that we're talking about on Wednesday is Foundations of Outercourse, helping clients achieve healthy communication, confidence, and comfort. Now, what is this class about? I've gotten a lot of questions, and I think that's a fair question because this is an unusual topic. What even is outer course? I've gotten some questions. So what I'm talking about in this course is, pardon the pun, in this class on Wednesday, we're talking about the type of sex that is perhaps manual or oral, type of sex that is non-intercourse, and it usually falls between levels of arousal of like 6 to 10. So we're talking about the more romantic and erotic touching that would be that would come before penetrative sex or would sometimes be instead of penetrative sex. So this is the type of sexual activity that might lead into intercourse, or it might lead, or it might be instead of intercourse. And so what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday is a couple like this. How does a couple like this navigate issues of outercourse? Sometimes she's in the mood to give oral sex, but other times she's not. When he asks for it, she doesn't want it anymore. Sometimes she's in the mood to receive oral sex, but she never knows how to communicate that. Sometimes she likes it when he touches her here or there, and other days she doesn't. She feels fickle and unpredictable. He feels like it's a constant guessing game, and he's afraid to ruin the whole thing. So most of the time, they rush through it and get it over with as fast as possible, avoiding oral sex or some of these other types of sex, and sticking to things that they know. So a lot of couples will rush the erotic phase of sex of maybe that 6 to 9, and they'll jump right into the ending. And the ending that they know that they might feel comfortable and confident with is intercourse. Okay? So we rush to that part and we're into the ending already. So what we're talking about today is how do we navigate, not today, what we will talk about on Wednesday is how do we navigate that period of sex where there is highly erotic touching. How does one initiate oral sex? How does one ask for it? How do you cope with if your partner is asking for oral or a certain type of sex or that type of sex, and you maybe that makes you not want to do it, or you don't know how to manage that type of request? A lot of times people feel very stuck with an ask of oral, as far as now they feel a lot of pressure and they don't know what to do with that type of ask. A lot of folks will, or conversely, they will actually want that type of sex, but they don't know how to communicate that. Or what about how to communicate in the moment what we are enjoying or what we want a little more or less of? So that's another challenge, that in the moment that it is happening, how do we communicate what is working well or what is not working well for us? How do we get into it? How do we manage during? And how do we manage getting out of it? How do we end this? So these are all some challenges that I want to talk about on Wednesday. How do you initiate a type of sex such as manual or oral that is not penetrative? How do you manage in the moment if you want it to be a little more this way or that way? How do you get out of this and pivot and say, I've had enough of this and I want this other thing? And so these are some challenges that people face. as well as feeling that their bodies are a little fickle or unpredictable. That's something that's often works for us, that it doesn't work today. Well, what do I do about that? And so because of these challenges, a lot of people just end up avoiding or suppressing their feelings, and just kind of because they don't want to make their partners feel bad. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that segment of sex, that very specific segment, and some of the challenges that people face. So I hope that clarifies. And again, outer course, I'm talking about sexual behavior that is more erotic than affectionate, and may or may not end in orgasm, and may or may not lead to penetrative sex. That is the content that we're going to be talking about. Some people will use outer course to lead into penetrative sex, and some people will use outer course instead of penetrative sex for a variety of reasons. Maybe they have problems with penetration, or vaginismus or pelvic pain. So these are some. This is the type of issues that we will be talking about on Wednesday. I hope to see you there.